Welcome to Wheels, Deals, and Meals, where we talk all things good food, good business, and good cars. And now, here is your host, Arnold Garcia, founder and CEO of Petra Automotive Products. Let's roll.
Today, we are at Risi Racing. If you are a car guy, this is the candy store for you. I had the privilege a few months ago to meet Giuseppe Risi, and I love this guy. I mean, fell in love with him, his character, his nature. We kind of hit it off. He's been a great part of our Petra Cares. I asked him if he would be on the show. He said yes, so get ready, sit down. This is gonna be one of the best we've ever done. Giuseppe, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arnold.
Thank you for opening this place up. I always, I don't want to bother you too much, but I love bringing people here.
It is very much my pleasure to share.
It is such an incredible place. So you own Risi Racing. Am I saying that right?
Risi Competizione.
Risi Competizione.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spanish and Italian kind of.
Yes, it's pretty
How many
close.
languages do you know?
4.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel bad, but.
No, that's right. No.
Risi Competizione.
Correct. Yes.
Great. I love it.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing the racing?
I've been involved with racing for the best part of my life. Probably, I guess, 53 years. Yes.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the racing in a minute, but I want to go way back. Where were you born?
I was born in Sicily. Yes.
Sicily?
Yeah.
How old were you when you left Sicily?
I was about, I went to boarding school in England to learn English, and then probably left at the age of 18. Yeah.
After the boarding school?
After boarding school, came back, and then that was it.
Do you go back to Sicily?
Yeah, it's Sicilian and Puglia, and so I have more family in Puglia than in Sicily itself.
How often do you go back?
Probably about once every 2 years. I still have a couple of aunts, and I go there.
I think the Italians are a little bit like the Latinos, right?
Yes.
So they, the home is home.
Yes.
Where you were born.
Right.
Right? And so you love going back to see the family or the aunts, get some home-cooked meals, remember where you're from.
Right.
I would like to take that trip with you one day. That should be pretty interesting to walk down the place where you were born. And,
absolutely.
And everything there. So you left at 18. Where did you go?
And then I lived in Kenya for a number of years. And I actually thought I wanted to be a pilot. And I did start flying at the age of 16 while I was at boarding school, because I used to clean this little old biplane. And until, one day they said, well, you want to go for a ride? So I went for a ride, and then I thought maybe, So, because I lost my father when I was very young. So the only way I could fly was by cleaning this little plane. So I would clean this little plane. It was part of, it's what I would do.
Right.
But...
and you started learning how to fly at 16?
Yes.
So you're born in Italy, and then you go to boarding school in England.
Yes.
You leave at 18. Why Kenya?
Because it was a flying doctor service.
Okay.
So, and it's the only way I could get the hours. My family.
So you were flying doctors around?
Yes, and the idea is with a private pilot's license, you cannot fly for reward. You can carry things and people, your friends, and merchandise, but you cannot fly for reward until you get a commercial license, which is usually until about 200 hours of flying, So that's what I would do. I'd fly anything just to get all the hours. How
long were you in Kenya?
3 years.
Anything crazy while you were there?
I loved it. It's probably one of the best places I'll remember Kenya for the rest of my life.
No kidding.
Yes. And which I did all the, I would drop people off at the game hunters, big game hunters, would drop people off at different areas. I like climbing mountains. I've climbed Kilimanjaro 4 or 5 times, Mount Kenya, and just generally liked.
Yeah, me too.
At the time, I just, it was there, and people say, well, why did you climb mountains? I said, because it's there, So, I mean,
It was there. You just did it.
but-
Most people would not say that. Most people would not go, the mountain's there, I'm just going to climb it.
Yeah. And
Most
then-
people would go, the mountain's there. Is there a road around it or up it? Or?
Because you used to fly, because Kilimanjaro's 19,000 feet, and in the light airplanes, usually you top out at about 12,000. So you'd fly around it. So I'd fly around it so many times if it was on my route going to Tanzania or something else to drop people off at the game parks, and I would just do that. But but in all that time, I was always involved with cars. So even, go-karts, at the age of 12, all the time, motorcycles, again, but always not just to ride them. There was always that whole competition side. It's, it's a worthwhile disease. That's that's the best way I can describe it.
All right, so how old were you when you left Kenya?
About 21.
21. All right, born in Italy, studied in England, goes to Kenya to get your pilot's hours. 21, where do you go now?
I went to Spain.
Spain.
Yes, because I thought at the time,
Is this where the Espanol came in?
that's correct. That's why I learned Spanish.
Okay.
I lived in Madrid, but I thought I was just going through because it was just like English. At the time, my father said, you've got to learn English. The world is going to be speaking English for a long time after the war. And so, and it's the same with Spain. A couple of good friends said, everybody's speaking Spanish. And, and it's easy because I spoke Italian and French. And I said, yeah. So, and I went to Madrid. I went to a school in Madrid for about 3 months. And and this was during Franco's time. So I was it was a dictatorship.
Yeah.
Spain was very controlled.
Very communist.
Very. And so at the time I thought, well, it's, and I saw how Spanish motorsport was really in its infancy. And I'd already been different countries, in Italy and England, where motorsport was developing at a different rate. And I thought, gosh, this is it. So I really kind of pretty well gave up on flying. And I'd really found my love for competition cars. And that's really what went on. So stayed in Spain and learned Spanish.
So your interest or love into racing happened in Madrid?
No, I was always doing.
You were always a fan of
always,
racing?
Always doing things. Doing all the things you can imagine.
So Madrid just helped.
Yes, Madrid was supposedly to learn Spanish, but I was trying to find my way of how I would go to race, whether I would have gone back to England to do something or to work with somebody, but I was at home being a Latin, and I felt at home in Madrid.
How long did you stay there?
9 years.
Really?
Yes. Then I helped form the national Spanish Formula One team, and ran.
And wait, how do you help form that? What was the first job into the automotive?
Well,
So you go to Spain.
Spanish.
You're learning Spanish.
Yes.
What gets you in? What's the first job?
People that could race at the time in Spain, obviously, they weren't sponsored. They could fund themselves because they came from families that could fund their racing. And then took them racing outside of Spain. We did international racing, whether it was in.
So what was the name of the first team you were on?
Well, it was always. We were sponsored. There were more. There was a name Uriarte, very good driver. Another guy, Rafael Barrios. His father was a very famous architect under Franco's time. And then the one that really that I stayed with for a long time was Emilio de Villota. And Emilio is...
Emilio de Villota.
Yes. In fact, he's just had a birthday 2 days ago. And there's a book that Emilio has written, and it describes his journey through one of the races that we had for the Spanish Grand Prix in 77 is when I met the King of Spain. At the time was Juan Carlos. And there's a picture of Juan Carlos meeting the team, and right next with him was who is today the King of Spain, Felipe. And Felipe must have been, 8 years old maybe or something like that, so... and then just went on, and we did really well. But in all that time, I had also had the opportunity to meet Enzo Ferrari, and
while you were with Emilio, you met Enzo.
Yes, before that actually.
Okay.
And
where did you meet him?
in Italy at the Ferrari factory.
You were just visiting, or how did that happen?
Yes, there was because I spoke the languages by the time, especially English, and English is the main language in racing. With Enzo Ferrari, they said they were looking for a person that could speak the languages and who's interested in racing, that would help with the logistics and help with sort of a secondary helping team managers. I'm not going to say that I turned it down, but what was offered in terms of a salary was such a pittance, and I said...
It sounds like you turned it down.
I did. But yeah, you have to be elegant about it. I mean, you're sitting in front of Enzo Ferrari, and yes, even back then, he was, that's once...
How many people can say, I turned down Enzo's job,
And I said,
But you had a good job with Emilio.
Yes, right? Indeed. Well, I hadn't quite got hooked up with Emilio yet. With Emilio, I got hooked up with him in '75, and then we had our beer sponsorship and everything else. However, and I said, sir, I already have an agreement, and I was recognized by them again because had brought a couple of names to Spanish motorsport. But I always managed to stay in touch. And so about at least once a year, when I went to Italy, I would try and go and say hello to Enzo Ferrari. So.
And where's Ferrari based out of again?
Ferrari is based in Modena and Maranello. Ferrari started in Modena, and Maranello is 18 kilometers away from, it's where the factory is.
Okay.
And so Enzo Ferrari would go, he lived in Modena, but then on some days he would go at the factory mainly, that's where it all happened. So I would go and say...
Now, at the time that you're seeing Enzo, that you're meeting Enzo and politely turn down the offer, Ferrari wasn't that big, right? It was big in Italy.
Yes, I mean, back then Ferrari made about between 1,200 and 1,400 cars a year, total.
What does it make now?
15,000.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was always an exclusive product in terms of, but it was all racing, and much to what's been written about Enzo Ferrari and everything else, he really cared about the people that bought his product. He really wanted them to enjoy what they bought, and that was one of the main things, and he cared about it, but his most important love was racing cars. I mean, his whole life was centered around racing cars. No ifs or buts. I mean, that was it. And so that went on until, then fast forward, and rules are changing in Formula One. Formula One was getting very expensive with the introduction of turbochargers on cars, on engines. And then around about 77, 78, one day he said, things are changing, and we're going to change things in America, because at the time Ferrari was imported and distributed by Luigi Canetti, who is a magic name in the world of Ferrari. Luigi Canetti was introduced the U.S. to Ferraris. But come 1980, the rules and laws in the U.S., it had to be a manufacturer that distributes and import cars. So a private individual could not do it for a number of reasons. But the primary reason was if you had a recall campaign on something, you needed the firepower of the factory to take care of it. A private individual, I mean,
Two cars, he'd be done.
It couldn't be done. So therefore, that had to be established. So they had to form Ferrari in North America. And Enzo Ferrari cared enough about the marketplace, cared enough about the product that they wanted to, have something that could start and take care. So we had a little chat, and he said, but I need somebody that really takes care of people, that cares about the product. I said, fine. And in fact, in 1977, I bought my first Ferrari. I thought, after I bought it, I thought, well, now what do I do? I've spent everything on this car. I'm probably going to have to go and sleep under a bridge. And the car is right here. It's that yellow car up there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That was the first Ferrari you bought?
That was the first Ferrari I bought. Enzo Ferrari delivered that. He handed me the keys to that car.
He himself handed you the keys to that car?
At the factory in 1978. That car right
Okay,
there.
I want to make sure I don't miss anything because your story is so fascinating. Grew up in Italy, studied in England, goes to Kenya, being a pilot.
Yes.
Then you end up in Madrid.
Right.
You've always liked racing.
Right.
You end up in a 9-year career with...
in Spanish motorsport.
Right, in Spanish motorsports with Emilio.
Yes, Emilio.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
In that time frame and before then, you've met Enzo.
Yes.
He's offered you a job. You politely turned it down. You continue to stay in contact with him.
Yes.
He now wants to open up in North America, and due to the laws or whatever, you got to do whatever it is you got to do here. You buy your first Ferrari, a yellow one. Are you working for him at any time yet?
No.
No.
No, not at all.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah.
Why yellow and not red?
Well, it used to be my road car, and typically it would have been a red car, but I would go to all the races, and I used to drive at night so I could go to places and drive fast, and I figured if I'm driving fast at night, yellow's a better color to see than red, because
So you bought yellow for safety reasons.
for safety
So you
reasons.
can drive fast.
Yes, and also it's the national color of Modena.
Oh.
See, that's, for
okay.
example, the Ferrari emblem has a yellow background, but also because,
Because the most popular color for Ferrari would be red, correct?
Yes.
What's the second? Yellow?
black,
Black.
yeah, and yellow,
All right. So you're in touch with Enzo. Keep in touch with him. You buy this car. He personally gives you the keys to his car,
yes,
which is already amazing.
right.
You may live under a bridge now.
I'm thinking, now what? Now you spend whatever the few little dimes you've got, you go out and spend the car. I think at the time, I think I paid $26,000 for it. It was all the money in the world. And I'm thinking, really? I go, and I had an Alfa Romeo at the time, which was a great car. I had 2 or 3 Alfas. They were great cars to drive. Because a lot of the places you drove to, a lot of all the different tracks. And I got the Ferrari, and I'm thinking, now what? So you wanted a Ferrari, you got your dream, but so who needs a house? I didn't need a house. I was sleeping in the car,
Right. You're a single guy. You got a Ferrari. What does it matter?
So I used to, and then that's what. Then going back to Enzo Ferrari, he said, well, we're going to change things in America, and we need people that will take care of the customers and the buyer of a Ferrari. because at the time, people would say, well, if you own a Ferrari, you may as well buy two, because one's always going to be in the shop.
Yeah.
So people always said that because the cars were on carburetors, they weren't on fuel injection, maybe they weren't being maintained properly. The owners, it was...
Sure.
It was
It's a
a lit-
high-performance car that needs to be maintained.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, so when that happened, I said, well, he said, have you ever thought about going to America? I said, no, sir, not necessarily. And then we looked around and said, well, we don't have. And so what are the open areas? And he said, there's all these places, but the main concentration of Ferraris back then was obviously the East Coast, California, which is number one sports car market in the world. And in Texas, there was nobody. And I had driven through Houston in 1969 with a friend of mine from Switzerland, and we drove through Houston in a little Volkswagen Beetle on our way to Mexico. We bought the car up in New York, and for some reason I fell in love with Houston, and just driving through, going down to the border, and then across into Mexico. And I always had something about Houston. And then the fact that it was, at the time, it was known as the capital of the energy, NASA, all those things together. And then I decided to come here. So then in 79, the beginning of 79, I pretty well pulled out of 100% active racing in Europe, but still kept my hands in with running the team. And at that point, I came to Houston, and I'm thinking, really? Oh, wow, this is going to be an uphill. So finally, I started Symbol Cars Inc., because you cannot incorporate the Ferrari name. But I was the first person that Enzo Ferrari personally, and nobody, you could not have Risi Ferrari. You couldn't have, Ferrari had to be by itself. So I asked him, I said, well, can we not recognize the city, which is Houston, and it is Ferrari of Houston.
You keep in touch with Enzo, you're talking to Enzo, you get out of racing. Enzo tells you that he wants, somebody here that really takes care of the customer's needs, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. You and a friend drive through Houston, you love it. You decide to come to Houston.
In 69.
In 69.
Yes.
Did you immediately call Enzo and say, I want to put a dealership, or
No.
something happened in between?
No, I didn't ask for coming here. It was a suggestion, I think, between his right-hand man, and then he came, and then one day in conversation, he said, how is conversation reached? I said, well, Risi, what are you doing next year? And I said, well, Formula One racing is getting very expensive to find the sponsorship, but I will go and run in a different class of racing and go down to Formula 2 or Formula 3 for that matter, but just to stay in racing, or GT cars. And that's when he said, what about racing? What about, a Ferrari dealership? I thought, well, the Ferrari dealership would be the closest thing there is to racing, but at least I can get something out of racing. 1st of January 1980, opened up right here in Houston at 6541 Southwest Freeway.
I remember.
And that's where we started.
How long did it take you to negotiate with Enzo to open a dealership here?
Nothing. Immediately.
How many dealerships were in the U.S. at that time?
At that time, there was no such thing really as there was recognized by Ferrari, but there's probably about maybe, I would say, somewhere around 15, 14. And these were especially on the East Coast and the West Coast.
All right, so you opened up the Ferrari dealer here in Houston.
Yes.
So you bought one Ferrari at some point, the yellow one, and then you decided, let's buy more.
Well, at that point, then of course I had to do things, start using corporate ways, you've got to get set up and then you have to keep 4 or 5 cars in your inventory, and then you got to have parts. You got to have a service department. So I brought people over from Europe, 2 of my top mechanics. I just told myself, and I said, the most important thing, and that was the key thing, is you had to have the service. I thought to myself, well, these cars pretty well sell themselves, because the person that's passionate about the Ferrari, but they have to be, the end buyer has to be convinced that when he's got a problem, it can be taken care of. And that's what I was able to give, because I was very passionate, and is passionate about these cars. That's why I race them to this day.
How long were you at the dealer?
42 years. I sold Ferrari of Houston 3 years ago after owning it and being in operation for 42 years.
So you owned Ferrari of Houston and Ferrari of Dallas.
Ferrari of Dallas I acquired in 2000 and I sold in 2010.
Before we get into the racing part, this is probably a good time to walk around and see some of the vehicles here, especially one that I think is very dear to Enzo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This car is my favorite car in here. Now, there's a lot of beautiful cars, They all have a story. They're all great. But this is the last, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the last prototype that Enzo himself worked on.
Correct. This car, Enzo died in 1988. Every Ferrari model has a number. It's the name of a track like Daytona, like pretty well. But what's so special about this model is it's an Enzo Ferrari. There will never be an Enzo Ferrari 2. This is the Enzo Ferrari. And the car is known as an Enzo Ferrari. They started making this car back in right around 2000, running prototypes, trying different things. In fact, we have this, and we have what an engine that goes in here looks like.
The only Enzo Ferrari, and the last prototype that he worked on himself.
Correct, yes.
I love it.
See,
I don't want to offend Ferrari, but it almost looks like a Batman mobile.
Well, it's a prototype, but they had to do it this way, and this was a prototype. This is an Enzo Ferrari. So
right.
One refers to it, oh, it's an Enzo. And when you say Enzo, you know exactly what it is. There are no other Enzos.
This is it.
This is it.
And it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely a treasure.
I believe they made 375 copies of these.
I love it. All right, let's go look at that trophy room. Wow, this is almost as good as the Petra trophy room. No, not quite. I don't think I have seen a trophy room like this. And these are like serious trophies. How many do you have?
We've got 360 trophies.
American Le Mans, first place Le Mans. This one sounds interesting. Tequila Patron.
Yeah. One of the trophies here, which is quite important, is this one here, because that's Ferrari that gave us this trophy. I think it says, I can't see my glasses. What does it say on there?
Team Doyle, Risi.
Okay.
2408 is Le Mans.
Okay. This is, and that was Le Mans and
Petit Le Mans.
Yes. That's when we finished it.
Manufacturer Championship, first place.
We won the Manufacturers Championship that year outright. This is over worldwide. And that was given by Ferrari.
So that has a symbolism as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Apart from the fact that it's first place, it has a symbolism as well. But look at the beauty and the size of these things. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And then, of course, the stallion.
Yes, that's
the symbol of Ferrari.
That is, that's a special bronze. That I believe there's only 3 of these examples in the world. And this is Mario Andretti. A friend of mine had done this. Andretti drove a Ferrari, That's him there. I just saw him actually. I was the other day in Europe, and Mario's now 83, 84. He still gets in a race car and drives it. I mean, the guy's unbelievable. And but this was rather special.
So this is an Enzo engine.
Yes.
Not just Ferrari, but an Enzo engine.
Enzo engine. Yes. This is an Enzo.
That's what goes in the prototype.
That's what goes in the prototype, and it's what is in the Enzo road cars.
Okay.
However, this one is tuned.
Okay.
This is not, so like the normal one, the standard Enzo engine, and if you own an Enzo, it's a 6-liter engine and produces, in normal terms, it produces 650 brake horsepower at about 8.5. This is being sort of loved and rubbed a little bit, shall we say. And so this one produces about 730 and revs to 9.8. And these are different, it's a different primaries than your normal. The standard Enzo doesn't come with these pipes.
Yeah.
Because it's all clad to do emissions and everything else. Because this is almost like a racing.
Yeah.
A racing.
It looks so solid, though. Mm-hmm. Is this where we hear about the stallion story?
Yeah, come on in, yeah. So Enzo Ferrari in 1922, 23, he was also a driver. And he won a local race, not in Modena, I think it was up in the north. I think it was Mantova or somewhere around there. And and he came from the back. And at the time, there was an Italian flying ace who was very well known, and his name was Baracca, and came from a family of wealth, but he was, from the First World War, he'd shot down a number of planes. Obviously, the planes were right in the beginning. And his mother was at this race and saw Enzo Ferrari win the race coming from the back and did so well. Now, on his plane, this guy, Baracca, he had a prancing horse. Now, the plane was made of, back in those days, I mean, they were almost made like of a type of material, which they put some stuff over to make it hard, almost like a starch type thing. And it was a horse. So this Flying Ace's mother presented Enzo with the cup after that, and then afterwards, on the plane that he got killed in, she gave him this horse, so here it's like a copy of the material of what this horse was. He then took it and Enzo then took it back to Modena. Every Italian city has a color. The color for Modena, which is Enzo Ferrari's birthplace, is yellow. So he put the horse on the yellow background and did the Italian flag here. And then it became, because of the time it was racing, so back in the day, the only time you would see...
This is kind of almost the original...
Yes, this is what it would look like.
Prototype of what the logo was going to look like. Correct. And the story behind why.
Correct.
The horse and the symbol and the family emblem.
Right here. Mm-hmm.
Colors where he was born, colors of the flag.
Yes. Totally
great story.
Yes, and that's what this represents.
Okay, now we know the rest of the story. Great. Let's go look at the car up front too. So when you walk into your place, this is what you see.
Right.
What am I seeing?
This is a half-scale model. It's a 250 Testarossa 12-cylinder, and they became very famous race car. It won all kinds of championships, and is one of the most valuable Ferraris today. It's made to the exact proportions of what it would be. Otherwise, it would not have the Ferrari badge on the front. back in the day, this Ferrari badge is what we've seen in there. Okay, however, you could not use the shield unless it was a race car.
Oh,
because this is
okay.
before. This is a commercial.
I got you. I understand now.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So the shield on the side cannot be used unless it's a race car.
So when I became a dealer, for example, you could not put that on your car. So this was taken in about 1982, and he personally gave me one of these. And
So there was only 5 of these?
Yeah, that they got printed in this size.
And this size, and he gave you one.
Yes.
That's a great.
And then I thought, now how the hell do I get it back to Houston in one piece, you know? So I had to wait until I had a big box of stuff, and, you know, yeah.
What a story. What a story. Fantastic. Giuseppe, I wish you many, many more years of continued success.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And partnering with Petra.
100%. I'm looking forward very much to that partnership.
Yeah, we are as well,
Yes,
as
yes.
well. What an amazing place you have here. The history, the trophies, everything you have shown us. Having known Enzo personally and have talked to him, was he a character? Like, was he what people portray as this larger than life kind of person? Or behind closed doors, he really was just a simple man?
He was actually a lot simpler than what is blown out to be. Because in my time, for the first time, he was actually, you know, the restaurants where he ate, I know the place, you know. I would go there, for example, when I was in Maranello on a Saturday, I'd go in and be sitting at a table by himself. It was his favorite restaurant to eat on Saturdays, lunch. And he was very approachable. I mean, you would have discussions, but he always wanted to know about how the cars were running. You know, like everything else, mechanical.
But he loved it too, right?
Oh, tremendously. I mean, that was what he did. I mean, he's renowned for working during Christmas for, you know, he'd have these engines running it, you know, that was what he was. That was Enzo Ferrari, but he was a very...
The movie that just came out not too long ago about Enzo,
Yes.
is it pretty, I mean, what do you say, 90% true, 80% true,
I mean, there's...
0% true?
I think it was, it's good, it's educational. It does show a certain side of Ferrari. Some of it, I think, is a little more blown up for the sake of...
Movie?
Yes, for, you know...
Movie making.
Yes, for movie making. I mean, really, so...
I think I think that's,
It has
I think
to
it's
be.
fair. I always look at some of these movies that are great
Yes.
sometimes, and you always go, I'm sure they over-exaggerated something to make the movie even more dramatic than what it was.
Yes.
You know, but what you do see in the movie is his love for the motor, the vehicle.
Yes. That is...
The
comes through.
the strive for perfection.
That's exactly what it is. He could choose. He was able always to get the right people come and work for him, and also allow them to either build a better engine or, like Pininfarina, build a better design. It was always them, because he was always pushing him on that. And that was one of the great things about him. And he recognized that, because I guess he was, he drove himself harder than anybody else could ever do it, you know. And that's really what made the man what he is.
Now, when did you open Risi Competizione?
Risi Competizione, I formed that 28 years ago. Yes. But I was always delving into racing. We had different classes in racing, but I was just racing under Ferrari of Houston. But then Risi Competizione, I then thought, okay, well, we'll break it away from the main things, but always involved, and also help. And it was a message also to people that buying a Ferrari from Ferrari of Houston. There was people that cared enough. And basically, the hidden message was, we will take care of your car. The customer, we will take care of your dream. And to me, that's always been important. You know, we want to, when I first opened Ferrari of Houston, one of the things I did was, people would say, well, what happens if this car breaks down? Here's my number. Call me anytime.
I'll take care of you.
Weekends, night, day, call me. Really? I said, yeah, call me.
I can see that in you.
Try me. And that's what I did for the first 4 or 5 years. And then what I would have is always ask one of the guys, one or two of the guy that was in the shop, the 2 or 3 guys I had that had been with me in racing, and they knew and they shared that passion. I said, guys, please, if you're going fishing this weekend, but, tell me which weekend you're going, because we got to be on call. And to be quite honest, we were only taking the task on that maybe in 3 years, maybe 4 or 5 times. And once a guy ran out of gas, over in Huntsville. Well, so it calls up about, on a Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock, said, well, car's run out of gas. I don't know what's going on. And, this is exactly what I didn't want. Okay, so we'll be there. Go there. First thing we do. Car's run out of gas.
Yeah. I mean, you got to put gas in the car, right?
Yeah.
It's typically how it works.
And then, but nonetheless, we...
but you serviced them.
That's exactly what happened.
I know. I agree with that customer service. That's the way you do it. So Risi Competizione has been now for how many years?
Since 20, going to year 28. Yes.
And how many championships have you won?
We've won Le Mans 3 times, and then we've won the IMSA championship 3 times. We've won the Challenge Racing, which is the gentleman racing sector of Ferrari, which is exclusively just all the cars are the same, and it's shorter racing. That championship has been around for 21 years, and we've won that 6 times, been runner-up, I don't know how many times. And there, the people own their own cars, and we just provide the service, which is like the cars here behind us. And they just have a good time. There's 5 or 6 of these races a year around the United States, and we service the cars, we transport the cars, and the owners come, they enjoy it. It is only Ferraris.
Now, was there one that won Daytona?
The car sitting right there behind us is the one that won Daytona last year.
Last year?
Yes.
This one right here?
This one right there.
That's pretty...
That's the exact car that won Daytona. And then also came second at Petit Le Mans. This is a good car.
And you've done Le Mans?
Yes. Personally, I've not driven in Le Mans, but we have
had a team?
Yes, we won Le Mans 3 times.
No kidding?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you love what you've done in your life?
I certainly do. I'm still motivated about it. I still love it. I don't think there's a lot that can replace the sound of a racing engine. But then I mean,
I think as people look to see this, a kid from Italy who learned 4 languages, enjoyed his time in Kenya, worked at one of the greatest teams in Madrid, had a personal relationship with Enzo, ends up owning a dealership in Houston for Ferrari.
Yes.
The first one under Ferrari of North America.
Correct.
Gets in the racing business for himself for 23 years now, has won Le Mans, Daytona, and all these other things. There are many people out there that say, man, that's like the dream life, Yeah. But I'm going to add to that, and I know that you and I have, known each other for not too long, but enough to say this. I think one of the things that make you so successful is your humbleness. You have an incredible story, life, career, yet you're obtainable, reachable, humble, caring. You've been a great help for Petra Cares. You've donated to Petra Cares and changed kids' lives. you're just this great Italian guy. It's an incredible, incredible story. So not just the career, but the man himself is what makes you so special.
Arnold, I really appreciate that, and to not to labor a point, but I really want to do something for the young people, for those that are interested. And I'm thinking about having somewhere, and I've been playing with it now for about 2 years, and thought about creating a high-performance school, mechanical school, for these young kids, young men, because I was there once upon a time. I know, what it was, from little scooters to, whatever it was, anything that made a noise was, I was driven to it. And to be able to put something back into their lives. And at present, we hear that, right now as we speak, in the last 2-3 months, I've been hearing, they want to give young people a trade. And that's what it is. And they're talking about, forget about going to university, we want to give you a trade. We need to spend more money to give you a trade.
Yeah.
Well,
trade's the biggest thing right now.
It's a magic word, but I've been on this thing forever, and I'm always looking to see.
We need to talk further on that, because I think we could do that with Petra Cares, is have another class dedicated to high performance.
100%.
I think we'll have a waiting list.
This is what I really
for
want
people to
do.
be in that category, and these kids, because some of these kids are troubled.
Yes.
They need something that they find passion in.
Right.
Like you found it in.
Right.
Like I found it in.
Right.
And I think this is something that they will find passion. Once they find the passion in it, they don't let go.
No.
And you got their attention.
100%.
And you can begin to mold.
Yes.
We just got to give them that opening for that passion. Do you ever see yourself retiring?
How do you write that word?
I don't know. I'm going to tell you that I don't think I'll ever retire.
I don't know.
I love what I do. I love what I do.
And that's why I still love that. And I want to put that back into society.
Yes.
How do I put that back into society? I don't want to run another racing team. I have one. I've known how to do it. I'm still doing it. I want to put some of this now.
Continues to the next generation.
Exactly. And
we're going to help you do that. I agree with you 100%.
And share it with
because you have so much knowledge, wisdom, experience through life that these kids need to have. I think it's a great idea. We're gonna help you through it. Of all the places you've traveled, what's your favorite?
I'm truly in love with Houston. I go everywhere. I travel a lot. I go across to Europe 6, 7, 8 times a year. I've been to South America, but I'm passionate about Houston as I am about my cars.
I think I've said this before for many years. When people come to Houston, they fall in love with Houston. When they really come to Houston, they realize all that Houston offers.
Yeah.
And it's been like a little secret, kept secret, right?
Yes.
But I think the secret is getting out.
Yeah.
I think more and more people are realizing
Yes.
that Houston is this thriving, happening city with everything you want to do, eat. It's all here.
Completely.
And the people are amazing here. What of the places you have not gone to, what place would you like to go see?
From a historical standpoint, in terms, because I like what, a place like St. Petersburg, which I'd like to have seen, and still it's time to do that. But I always figure that those sort of places I can always go anytime. Mm-hmm. But pretty well, never been to China. I've been to Hong Kong a number of times. Been to Australia. Never been to New Zealand. Been all over South America, Brazil.
So really kind of Russia and China.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been to China. I haven't gone to Russia. I think Russia would be on my list too to see.
Yeah. And
see that.
You know.
What about food? What's your favorite food?
Well,
Italiano.
Well, yes. I mean, I need a pasta fix at least twice a week.
Okay, all right. I love it. I love it.
But
That's great.
I love Mexican food. I'm very familiar with that.
Hard to be in Houston and not like some Tex-Mex.
Yes. And obviously we're so lucky in Houston to have every variety of kitchen really that you want, whether it's Chinese, Japanese, and today,
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, 40 years ago, you could hardly see a Japanese restaurant. I mean, now they're everywhere. But that's what makes the city so complete.
It is. It does, for sure. I agree with you on that. What is your favorite car, and is it here?
Oh no, you're making my life very difficult. I will tell you, these are like children.
We can always edit it out.
Yeah. These are like children, but some of the cars are timeless. And one of the cars that's timeless in design, for example, is that right there. That's a 412. They started making that in 1981. It's a 2+2, but a true. But then my all-time favorite is on the second row, the middle car there, the red one. That's a 275 GTB4. And that car is truly, truly beautiful. It's balanced in every way, shape, and form. And one may ask, well, what makes that car so special? Well, the design, it's a true Pininfarina design. And you say, well, what made Pininfarina, better than all these other guys like Vignale, all the rest? The thing is, with the Pininfarina design, is no matter which angle you look to the car at, the design flows. So if you look at the door, even the door handle flows into something. And then on top of that, if you are to, like if you've got the car on the bottom floor and you go to the top, you can see everything where it flows into. It's not like, okay, well, we'll just do the front and make that look attractive and the side and the rear end. No. It is completely balanced. And that was what Pininfarina was so famous for. True. I mean,
That's one of the best explanations I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And it's so true because even looking at it, you can tell that.
Yes, and
from afar you can tell that.
Right, and you don't even have to be an artist. I mean, when you see how the design flows, one into the other, and they were original of how they won't say, so well, I like the car. Well, what'd you like about it? Well, at the front and everything else, but you can't on a Pininfarina design. You pretty well can't separate one thing saying you like it more than the other. It flows into one. You either like it or you don't. But you can't say, no, really, they could have done a better job with this. No, they did it.
Yeah, right. Well, with that, I want to thank you for being on the show. Giuseppe, you're a great story, great human being. Love being your friend. Thank you for letting us do this.
It is very much my pleasure. It's my pleasure anytime.
Appreciate
that anytime.
Thank you for listening to Wheels, Deals, and Meals, your main source for all things good and fun, business, food, and cars. If you like this episode, make sure to rate us and subscribe. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please leave a message at the link below. Till next time, happy eating.